Today I want to talk a little bit about the topic of skepticism. Now, skepticism is a state of mind that is doubtful of the veracity of some claim until evidence is presented that contradicts that skepticism. And at that time, a person should accept whatever that truth claim is. Uh, if not, then the person moves into cynicism. Cynicism is something that will not believe regardless of what the evidence is. So skepticism is a good thing. Whenever somebody makes some sort of truth claim, a person should be skeptical until evidence comes in to contradict that skepticism. And that's why I want to begin with this particular part of my series with the testimony of Thomas. Thomas was an apostle of Jesus's, and he was a very skeptical guy, very devoted guy to Jesus while he was alive, even to the point of offering to die for him, as it says in the Gospel of John. But after Jesus was crucified, dead, and buried, his skepticism about some of the truth claims of Jesus were very evident, and they're spelled out actually in the Gospel of John, starting in verse 20 at verse 24, and I'll just read this quickly to you. Now Thomas, called Didymus, one of the 12, was not with the disciples when Jesus came. So the others told him, "We have seen the Lord." But he said to them, "Unless I see the nail marks in his hands, and put my finger where the nails were, and put my hand in his side, I will not believe it." A week later, his disciples were in the house again, and Thomas was with them. Though the doors were locked, Jesus came and stood among them and said, "Peace be with you." Then he said to Thomas, "Put your finger here. See my hands. Reach out your hand and put it in my side. Stop doubting and believe." Thomas said to him, "My Lord and my God." Then Jesus told him, "Because you have seen me, you have believed. Blessed are those who have not seen and yet have believed." Jesus did many other miraculous signs in the presence of his disciples, which are not recorded in this book. But these are written that you may believe that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of God, and that by believing you may have life in his name. So Thomas was a natural skeptic. He set the conditions for his belief, and graciously the Lord granted him that ability to do exactly what he had said. And when he had been given the evidence he had asked for, he believed and confessed, "My Lord and my God," which is a very important thing for a first century Jew to say to a man. So, and Jesus didn't correct him on this point either. As it's related during Jesus' trial, that was what he was put to death for, was when he was asked whether he was the Christ, the Son of God. He said, "It is right that what you're saying is right." Basically, paraphrasing there a little bit. It is as you say. And that's what he was put to death for, was blasphemy, because he claimed to be the Son of God. Jesus certainly could have corrected Thomas here on that point, but he did not. And he said, "Blessed are you, you're blessed because you've been able to see it. You believe it because you've seen it. More blessed are those who have not seen and yet have believed." But Thomas's testimony is an important thing for us. He stands in the place of the skeptic over the eons of time, and was granted by God the ability to see what he asked for. So that testimony is a powerful testimony to the veracity of Jesus being raised from the dead. It was very obvious to the disciples what had happened. He wanted to put his fingers in the nail marks. Okay, he wanted to put his hand in his side, and unless he was able to do that, he wouldn't believe. Those are all marks that were left on Jesus' body from his crucifixion. There's little doubt that Jesus actually died, as it's relayed in the gospel accounts. Any doctor would tell you that the signs of death were already there. So clearly he didn't swoon, that he had actually died. And that's what Thomas believed, that he had actually died. And he was allowed to see those things. The thing that you have to understand about skepticism, though, is skepticism in and of itself is not evidence of anything. It's only evidence of the state of mind of the person holding that skepticism. It doesn't hold any value as evidence. It's a state of mind that requires that evidence be presented. And when evidence is presented, then the person is allowed to make up their mind one way or the other. And again, if in the face of that evidence you continue to disbelieve a truth claim, then that's cynicism, and no evidence is really going to help you at that time. What I ask people to do basically is maybe not believe what any particular person says, but weigh the evidence in a way that is impartial. And when you do, you will come to the conclusion that Christianity is the true worldview. It is the worldview that leads to eternal life, as promised in the Bible. And for those Christians that are out there, understand that your testimony is very powerful too. As I've already started in my own series, the beginning of this series on Christianity was my own testimony. That wasn't the whole thing. There's a lot of other things I can add and will add, God willing, over time. But you have to understand is the way the book of Hebrews puts it is we have a great cloud of witnesses for the veracity of Christianity, for the resurrection of Jesus Christ. And it's only the cynic that will refuse to believe. Now, the skeptic may be still just a skeptic at that time, but it's only because they haven't really investigated those truth claims. And I think if you do, you will come to the conclusion that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of God. And by believing that, you have life in his name. That's what the Apostle John wrote at the time. And he was also a witness to that event. He was there and recalled it for us to read even these millennia later. So that's all I have on the Gospel of on the testimony of Thomas. Again, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them. And you have a great day now.